My girlfriend claimed I was abusive after I broke up with her. Now her TikTok story went viral, and I can't get a job. I'm 29. I work, or used to work, in graphic design. Before last year, I had a decent portfolio, a clean reputation, and a relatively quiet life. I never thought I'd have to defend myself to complete strangers, or that my name would be typed out on Reddit threads by people who've never met me. But here we are. About a year ago, I broke up with my girlfriend after nearly 3 years together. Her name is Kayla. She's 26. She was charismatic, outgoing, always on social media, always recording everything, from brunches to breakdowns. I'm not really the online type, but I never minded her content. It made her happy, and I figured that's harmless. At first, our relationship was fine. We met through mutual friends during lockdown, started dating after a few months of talking, and moved in together about 10 months in. Yeah, it was fast, but we were both working from home, spending every day together, and it just felt natural, comfortable. The cracks didn't show until much later, quiet ones at first, never loud, never dramatic. I'd ask for space during work calls and she'd roll her eyes. I'd come home from the gym and find her filming herself crying in the living room for a TikTok trend. She'd ask me to reshoot authentic reactions because I looked flat. And when I told her I wasn't okay with being filmed without consent, she told me I was too sensitive and that I needed to get used to being with someone in media. Still, I stayed. We fought, like most couples do. But the fights got more and more one-sided. I didn't yell, I didn't insult her, but she did both, frequently. She'd throw around words like gaslighting, emotional manipulation, and controlling anytime I disagreed with her. The irony didn't hit me until much later. 6 months before I ended it, she started recording arguments, not in secret, openly. She'd say things like, "If you're gonna be like this, I need to protect myself." I didn't like it, but I had nothing to hide. Still, it always felt performative, like I was acting in a show I didn't audition for. She began framing our relationship online through curated videos. My healing journey, living with someone who doesn't understand mental health, a day in the life with a borderline partner. Her followers lapped it up. It was always vague enough to avoid backlash. Never used my name, never showed my face. But to anyone who knew us, it was obvious who she meant. She started sleeping in the guest room and told her audience she was processing trauma. I found out from a coworker that she posted a clip titled, "What It's Like Living with Your Abuser." I watched it. There was a close-up of her face, quiet piano music, her voice saying, "Healing isn't linear, especially when you're still living with the person who broke you." The caption said, "He thinks I don't know what he's doing. But I do, and one day I'll tell the whole story." I almost left right then. I packed a bag, walked out, made it halfway to my brother's place. But something stopped me. I told myself it would get better, that she was venting online and needed space, that if I just gave her time, we'd either fix things or break up clean. We didn't. We dragged it on for another month. Then one morning, after yet another silent breakfast and another healing journal post with my elbow accidentally in the background, I told her I was done. I said I didn't hate her, but I couldn't stay in something that felt like a scripted episode of someone else's life. She nodded, quietly. No crying, no shouting. Just, okay. I figured. I moved out the next week. At first, I thought it was over. I was wrong. 1 month later, my name showed up in her TikTok Storytime series. Blurred face, masked name. But anyone with a little internet access and 2 brain cells could trace it back to me. She called me Zed, her emotionally abusive ex, and said she was finally ready to speak her truth. She described episodes I never remembered, twisted conversations into manipulative tactics, and accused me of isolating her when I asked her not to film me in my sleep. It went viral. 1.4 million views in 2 days, a trending hashtag. Comments calling me a narcissist, a monster, a textbook manipulator. People messaged my workplace. They found my LinkedIn. They left reviews on freelance sites I hadn't used in a year, calling me abusive trash. I lost 2 contract jobs that week. No one would say why, but I knew. After the second client dropped me, I reached out, politely, just to clarify if there had been any issue with the work or communication. No reply. A week later, I saw a mutual on Twitter, quote, tweet her storytime video. The caption read, "Saw this coming. Knew Z was a red flag from day one. That mutual was a guy I had beers with. Helped him move last spring. He never reached out to ask if it was true. Just rode the wave. I didn't fight back publicly. I thought staying quiet would eventually let it blow over. And also, I didn't want to give them more to twist. That was my first mistake. The silence made me look guilty. The absence of a defense became part of their narrative. People filled in the blanks with whatever fit their version of me. Every day felt like a trap. If I posted anything, even a photo of a coffee cup, I'd get a DM like, "Abusers don't deserve peace." I changed my number, locked down all my socials. Clients stopped answering. Friends from college unfollowed. Some didn't block me, they just disappeared. Quiet exits, safe exits, cowardly maybe, understandable definitely. No one wants to risk their own reputation defending someone branded toxic. The thing that really gutted me, even my parents weren't sure what to believe. They didn't say it directly, but it was in their tone. The way my mom said, "Just be honest, Nate, we'll support you either way." Like there was something I hadn't told them. Like maybe this was a misunderstanding, but also maybe not. It broke me in a way no accusation ever could. Because if they could hesitate, after everything they knew about me, after every time I came home crying over Kayla's manipulation, then who the hell would believe me now? I thought about suing her, defamation, libel, something, anything. But I couldn't afford the lawyer fees. And even if I could, what was I going to win? A cease and desist? That wouldn't change the videos already posted, wouldn't stop the comments, wouldn't clean my name off Google. And honestly, I didn't want to be the guy who sued a woman over a viral story about emotional abuse. No matter what the truth was, the optics would bury me deeper. I was stuck in narrative hell, the bad guy in someone else's healing arc. I started journaling everything, every memory, every date, screenshots, backups, her messages, voice notes, calendar reminders of when things actually happened. Not to fight her, to remind myself that I wasn't crazy. Because when millions of strangers treat you like a villain, you start questioning even your own memories. I didn't want revenge. I wanted air, space, silence. But the internet doesn't forget. And Kayla had no intention of letting me fade quietly. 3 months after the video, she posted a follow-up titled, "What I'd Say to Him If I Ever Saw Him Again." She cried, talked about trauma, forgiveness, growth, said she doesn't hate me, said she hopes I find peace, then stared into the camera and whispered, "You know what you did." And I felt everything I rebuilt in those 3 months collapse all over again. After that follow-up video, it felt like a second wave hit. People I didn't know were stitching her clip, talking to the camera like they'd lived inside our apartment. I was manipulative, stone-faced, textbook cold. The worst part? She never even showed my face on, but they filled it in for her. Her followers made up their own details. They said I probably had narcissistic rage episodes, that she was clearly dissociating during the clip. Just look at her eyes. That the reason I hadn't sued her was because she was telling the truth. And I realized there's no winning. If I defend myself, I'm gaslighting. If I say nothing, I'm hiding. If I cry, I'm performing. If I show receipts, I'm weaponizing proof. They didn't want evidence, they wanted blood. That's when I started considering leaving, not just town, everything. I deleted my portfolio site, shut down every social, changed my phone again. I started writing a letter to my landlord saying I'd vacate in 30 days. I hadn't even done anything wrong, and yet my entire life was collapsing like I had. And here's the messed up part. I still missed her. Not the girl in the videos, not the storyteller, but the version of her that sat next to me on our tiny balcony at 1 a.m., the one who once stayed up with me during a flu, holding a bowl while I threw up and joking, "I should charge you nurse rates." I couldn't tell if I missed her or just missed being someone who hadn't been gutted publicly. I hadn't even done anything wrong, and yet my entire life was collapsing like I had. And here's the messed up part. I still missed her. Not the girl in the videos, not the storyteller, but the version of her that sat next to me on our tiny balcony at 1 a.m., the one who once stayed up with me during a flu, holding a bowl while I threw up and joking, "I should charge you nurse rates." I couldn't tell if I missed her or just missed being someone who hadn't been gutted publicly. Then I got a message from someone unexpected. Her ex. I hadn't even known she had one before me. He sent me a single line. "She did the exact same thing to me." He attached screenshots of her old posts. Same tone, same language, different target. She had a whole healing arc built off of him too. She deleted most of it after they broke up. He told me he tried to clear his name for a year, ended up moving cities, changed jobs, started over. Then he wrote, "You won't fix this. You just survive it." And that's when something shifted in me. Not anger, not even sadness. Just this grim clarity. They won't stop. She won't stop. But I don't have it to keep standing still while it happens. I can't reclaim the past. But maybe I can take back the next page. So I booked a one-way ticket, cut the lease, sold my furniture, didn't tell anyone, not my parents, not my brother, just packed and left. I didn't vanish, I just rewrote the script. For the first time in a year, I was no longer playing the villain in someone else's story. I was back to being the main character in my own. The town I chose wasn't random. I picked a place no one would associate with me. Mid-sized, not too small, not too loud. It had a decent tech scene, a few co-working hubs, affordable rent. Most importantly, no one there cared who I was. And for the first few weeks, that anonymity felt like oxygen. Nobody looked twice when I walked into a cafe. Nobody whispered when I paid for groceries. Nobody tilted their phone like they were secretly filming. I started freelancing again, slowly, carefully. Used a different name on project boards. I built a new portfolio from scratch. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Still, the paranoia never fully left. I kept my camera covers on every device, flinched when someone pulled out a phone too quickly around me, jumped when someone said my real name out loud in public, even if it was just coincidence. I started questioning the smallest interactions. A barista asking for my name, a fake one, a new client who found my work through a friend. I'd spend hours vetting their socials, trying to trace any tie to Kayla's orbit, because trust didn't come back just because the noise was gone. I was still running my life like I had a bounty on my head. Then came the first real test. I met someone. Her name was Erin. We crossed paths at a local networking mixer. She was smart, sharp, funny, worked in UX, loved hiking, had a loud laugh that didn't seem curated for an audience. She asked for my number. I hesitated, then gave it. A week later, we grabbed coffee. No red flags, no vague trauma-baiting intros, just conversation. Easy, human. But when I got home, I panicked. Spent the entire night scrolling her profiles, checked who she followed, made sure she wasn't mutuals with anyone from Kayla's world. She wasn't, but I still felt like I was doing something wrong. Like falling for someone new was a betrayal of the trauma I hadn't processed. Erin noticed I was guarded. One night, she asked, "You're really careful with your story, huh?" I almost laughed. She had no idea. But instead of spilling it all, I told her what felt safe. That I'd been through something that cost me a lot. That I was rebuilding. That I wasn't ready to be public about much of anything. She nodded, didn't push, just said, "That's okay. I don't need the whole story, just the real one." For the first time since everything fell apart, I didn't feel the urge to run, but I also didn't feel healed, not yet. Because even in a new city, with a new name, a new life, and a woman who saw me instead of what the internet said about me, I still carried the old version of myself, the one they all pointed at, the one no one stood up for. I thought I'd escaped the noise. Then one message pulled me right back in. It happened on a Wednesday, middle of a normal week. I was sitting in a cafe working on a landing page for a small startup. Rain tapping the windows, noise canceling headphones on, peaceful. Until I got the notification. A DM from someone I didn't recognize. Username looked like spam, random letters and numbers. But the message wasn't spam. It said, "Found your little rebrand. Just wondering when you're planning to tell Aaron what you really did to Kayla." My stomach dropped. I stared at the screen for a solid minute, like the words might rearrange themselves into something else, something harmless. But no, it was direct, cold, deliberate, a shot across the bow. I didn't respond, didn't even open the profile, just deleted the message and shut my laptop. But for the rest of the day, I kept looking over my shoulder, kept scanning every face in the cafe, every reflection in the glass, every sound. How? How did they find me? That night I couldn't sleep. I replayed every recent conversation with Aaron. Had I slipped up? Mentioned my hometown? A name? Number I'd been careful, paranoid even. But this wasn't about me messing up. This was about someone digging. Someone who still had me bookmarked, saved in a folder called Unfinished Business. And suddenly the noise came rushing back. I checked Kayla's TikTok. I hadn't in months. She'd rebranded too. Now a healing coach, whatever that means. Still posting story times. Still vague, still dramatic. Still vague enough to protect herself, but loaded enough that her audience knew exactly who to hate. And in one of her recent posts, she said, "Even if they run, the truth always catches up." Thousands of comments, dozens saying they hoped he never found peace. Some asking for updates, some saying she was so brave for speaking her truth, no matter how long it takes. I felt physically ill. The next day, Aaron noticed. Asked what was wrong. I lied, said I didn't sleep well. She let it go, at least out loud. But I saw it in her eyes, the doubt, the concern, and I knew if this continued, I'd lose her too. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because it's easier to walk away from someone with drama than to fight the noise with them. I didn't want to lose her, but I didn't want to drag her into this storm either. So I made a decision. I was going to tell her the truth, everything. I invited Aaron over that night. No games, no coffee shop deflections, no half-truths. She brought wine. I didn't drink. I just sat on the edge of the couch and said, "There's something you need to know before this goes any further." And then I told her, not in pieces, not in a way that framed me as the victim. Just facts, the full arc, from the relationship with Kayla, to the accusations, to the social media storm, to the loss of work, friends, my own parents' hesitation, to the restart, the message, all of it. She didn't interrupt, didn't cry, didn't accuse. She just sat there, elbows on her knees, hands folded under her chin, and listened. And when I finished, she asked me only one question. "Did you ever do anything you regret?" I looked her in the eye. "I regret not leaving sooner. I regret not standing up for myself. I regret thinking silence would protect me." She nodded, slowly, then said something I didn't expect. "I don't think you're a monster, but I don't know if I have the energy to carry this with you." And just like that, I felt it. Not betrayal, not anger, just inevitability. Because she was right. People want to believe victims, and they should. But no one ever tells you what to do when both sides think they're the victim, and only one has an audience. Erin said she needed time, that she cared about me, but she had to think. We hugged before she left. It felt like a goodbye. I haven't heard from her since. After that, I stopped reaching out. I deleted the dating apps I never even opened. I canceled a coffee meetup with a client who seemed too friendly. I locked back into work mode. Because there's a point where rebuilding starts to feel like performing again, where being better turns into just being quieter. But I wasn't going to perform anymore. Not for the internet, not for new people, not for redemption, just for survival. That night, I made a decision. If no one would stand up for me, then I'd do it myself. Not through rage, not through revenge, through documentation, through truth, through patience. I didn't want millions to hear me. I just wanted one version of the truth to exist, mine. So I started writing it all down. Every receipt, every message, every clipped video, every deleted post I screenshotted, every lie I let sit in silence for too long. I was done hiding. It took me 6 weeks to put it all together. The timeline, the evidence, the side-by-side comparisons between what she said and what actually happened. I didn't frame it emotionally. I didn't insult her. I treated it like a court case. Clean, cold, clinical. I debated releasing it anonymously, but then I thought, what's the point of defending myself if I'm still hiding? So I used my real name. No clickbait, no flashy intro, just a simple post. My name is Nathan. A year ago, I was falsely accused by someone I once loved. Here's what really happened. I uploaded it to Medium with embedded screenshots, email timestamps, metadata, archived videos, every piece tied back to the truth. No opinions, just data. I wasn't expecting it to go viral, and it didn't, but it did circulate quietly. Among people who knew me, some who had backed away in silence, some who had quietly unfollowed. I saw the readers list grow. I saw familiar names viewing it multiple times. A few reached out. One old college friend DM'd me, "I'm sorry I believed her by default. I should have asked you first." Even that single message meant more than I thought it would, because I never wanted a crowd. I just wanted clarity. To say, this is what really happened. You don't have to believe me, but now you can't say you never heard my side. Kayla never responded directly, but 2 days after I posted the article, she made a TikTok about how abusers will manipulate evidence to rewrite history. No names, no direct quotes, but anyone who knew, and this time, the comments weren't all in her favor. People started asking questions, polite but pointed. Do you have proof of your side? Didn't you say something different in your earlier videos? This feels a little curated. It wasn't justice, but it was oxygen. I didn't feel victorious. This wasn't a win. This was survival, documented. I still walk around with a kind of trauma I don't have words for, not from the relationship, but from watching the world turn against me over a narrative I never got to speak into. But now, at least, my silence has an ending point, and that matters. People still talk about healing like it's a destination. For me, it's quieter than that. It's ordering a coffee without wondering who's filming you. It's meeting someone new and not scanning their mutuals. It's being able to say your own name online and knowing what it still stands for. So if you're reading this and you believed her side, I don't blame you, but now you've heard mine. Do what you want with it. I'm not here to change the past. I'm just here to reclaim it. For me. And for anyone else who's ever been turned into a story they didn't agree to be a character in.